There are basically three ways of grouping objects in Blender. One is through collections, as we see here, but this is more like a way of organizing the scene. You select the collection, but then you cannot move it, you cannot do anything with it. The other one is through parenting. So let's create here a null. I'm just going to scale it down like this. Now we select everything, deselect the null, click the null to make sure it's the last one, Control P, and we choose Object Keep Transform, like such. So now if we select the null, we can move it, rotate it, scale it the way we want. But this is not exactly what we want, because we can click on the individual elements and still move them around. So if we are not careful about selecting the parent element, this is not going to work well. The third way is through joining. If we select all the objects like this, we hit Ctrl J, and now all the objects are together. And we can still move, we can still rotate and scale. Now, the problem with this is that if you want to then open the group, so to speak, and work on individual elements, the only way to do this is to go into Edit mode, select all, and then P, and we select by loose parts or by material or by selection. But if let's say that we choose loose parts, what is going to happen is it will literally separate all of the loose parts here. So this is not ideal. Fortunately, there's an add-on that can mimic the behavior we see in other 3D packages like 3D Studio Max, where we can group objects, open the group, work on the individual objects, and then close the group again. Let's have a look at that. The add-on is called Quick Groups, and you can get it from extensions.blender.org. I will leave the link in the description below. For you to install the add-on, you just need to click once and then click and drag into Blender's viewport. It's going to check for updates and close, and that's it. It's installed. So let's select all of the objects we want to group. Let's click Ctrl G, and here we've got the options. We can choose the name, so let's say that I want to call it chair. And we can also select the center of the instance. Here it's the medium point, although in my case it's going to the center of the world because all of the individual pieces have its origin in the center of the world. So we can choose 3D cursor, world, active object, or the median point. So what the add-on did, it created an instanced collection that is being fed by a second scene called library. So if you go to library, the add-on moved all of the original objects into their second scene. It's actually a very clever way of going around the fact that we cannot have true groups inside Blender. So let's go back to our main scene. I don't like to see these empty so large, so I'm going to scale it all the way down, because unlike parenting where we need to always select the parent object, with groups you can select any part of the model, will always select the group. How do we ungroup? We just need to simply click Ctrl Alt G, and now it brought back all our original objects here, as you can see. Let's group them again. Ctrl G. And what if we want to make changes inside the group? So let's click Tab. And now we can select all of the individual pieces. Let's move this to the side, for example. Click on an empty space, click Tab again, and now the group reflects those changes. Let's go back, and we can obviously duplicate this group. So Ctrl Shift D, and we have an instance of this group. It's always an instance, as we can see here from the color, which means that now if I edit this second group, I can go here, make this change, get out of the group, and both will reflect the same change. Let me undo this. Next, let's have a look into more advanced settings. So with this second group selected, let's click Ctrl Shift G. Let's have a look into how to remove objects from the group. We just need to select, for example, armrest. And now the armrest was removed from the group. Let me undo this operation. Ctrl-Shift-G again. I will not create groups inside groups because it makes the whole process a little bit cumbersome. If we want to edit the instance, let's click on it. We can now make here a change at the element level. Let's get out of the group. And of course, because they are linked, the same changes are going to reflect here. Let's Ctrl-Z. Ctrl-Shift-G again. We can make single user with linked objects or copied objects. If you want copied objects, it's going to increase your file size. So you should always choose linked objects unless you want to make changes at the element level in the object. You should choose this one. But I will choose linked objects. What this does is that even though it's still a group, now you can edit independently of this one. So let's say that I want to move this cushion here, get out of the group, and now these changes are only reflected on this group. Let me undo, Ctrl-Shift-G again. You can ungroup and remove it from library or keep it in library. I prefer to remove it from library, so I click here. Now, this is not group anymore, although these objects are still linked. So if I click Tab and I make this change, as you can see, these changes are also reflected here on this one. If you want to share these scenes with groups with your teammates and they don't have the add-on installed, it's perfectly fine. It's still going to work because it makes use of instanced collections, so they don't need to install the add-on. If you found value on this tutorial, please subscribe and give it a like, and thank you for watching.